Gopi jana vallabha girivardhari Gopi jana vallabha girivardhari Yashodanandana braja jana ranjana Yashodanandana braja jana ranjana Jamuna tira vanachariya Jamuna tira vanachariya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dhamma Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Sankirtan Jagna Ki Jai, Brihat Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. Chapter 15, the chapter is entitled The Pāṇḍavas Retire Timely, and today we're covering text 45. Sarve tam anunirjagmur bhrātaraḥ kṛta-niścayāḥ kalinādharma-mitreṇa dṛṣṭvā spṛṣṭāḥ prajā bhuvi sarve tam anunirjagmur bhrātaraḥ kṛta-niścayāḥ kalinādharma-mitreṇa dṛṣṭvā spṛṣṭāḥ bhuvi Please chant. Vaishnavis. Sarve, all his younger brothers. Tam, him. Anunirjagmur, anunirjagmur. Lift it up a little bit. Okay. Bhraktarah, brothers. Oh, we didn't give the definition of the left home by following the elder. Bhraktarah, brothers. Kṛta-niścayāḥ, decidedly. Kalinā, by the age of Kali. Adharma, principle of irreligion. Mitreṇa, by the friend. dṛṣṭvā, observing. spṛṣṭāḥ, having overtaken. prajā, all citizens. Bhuvi, on the earth. Translation and purport by Srimad. The younger brothers, okay. He wants me to put my mouse right on the microphone. Okay. The younger brothers of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira observed that the age of Kali had already arrived throughout the world and that the citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elder brother. Please repeat. The younger brothers of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira observed that the age of Kali had already arrived throughout the world, and that the citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elder brother. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The younger brothers of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira were already obedient followers of the great emperor, and they had sufficiently been trained to know the ultimate goal of life. They therefore decidedly followed their elder brother in rendering devotional service to Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. According to the principles of sanātana-dharma, one must retire from family life after half the duration of life is finished and must engage himself in self-realization. But the question of engaging oneself is not always decided. Sometimes retired men are bewildered about how to engage themselves for the last days of life. Here is a decision by authorities like the Pāṇḍavas. All of them engage themselves in favorably culturing the devotional service of Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Svāmī Śrīdhara, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, or fruitive activities, philosophical speculation, and salvation, as conceived by several persons, are not the ultimate goal of life. They are more or less practiced by persons who have no information of the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is already indicated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad-gītā 1864. Okay, and the Pāṇḍavas were intelligent enough to follow it without hesitation. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umlitam Gena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha. So, this is the first time I've given class. This is post-COVID. I had COVID and all kinds of things went wrong. So it's good to be back in the assembly of Vaishnavas. Good to see that the attendance has increased. It was really down during the COVID period. You know, sometimes there'd be 10 devotees here. It used to be, before COVID came, it used to be like about 100 devotees. So got to get it up there. I want to ask each of you to meditate on a question. What is the most wonderful thing in the world, in this world? Anybody have some thoughts on that? Yes, Mataji. I'm sorry? Free will. Okay. You know, I was racing out the door today and I forgot my hearing aids. So you're going to have to turn the volume up a little louder than normal. Okay, so can you repeat what he said super loud? You didn't hear him either. Get your hearing aids. Come on, Bubba. Go ahead, super loud. Okay. Let me ask another question. So we got a couple answers here. What did we just read yesterday about how Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira departed? You know, he went into the forest. Okay, so he was asked a question. Very intelligent. Okay, thank you, Mataji. That's even better than the hearing aid. Okay, so here's the next question. What did, there was a question that was asked by Yamaraj of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. Same question. What's the most wonderful thing in this world? Anybody know what the answer is? Go ahead, Mataji. Use the microphone though, okay?
Yeah, I think he was saying that people keep dying every time and still the other people think that it's not going to happen to them. The most wonderful, the most wondrous or the most amazing thing in the world that although people keep dying, it's not going to, I think.
That's a good paraphrase. Ahani bhutani kachanti yamalayam shesha stavaram ichanti kimascharya mataparam. Every day, hundreds and thousands of living entities are going to the kingdom of death. But yet those who are remaining are making arrangement for a permanent situation. Now, I don't know if this is applicable for any of you. You know, if you're not thinking that you're going to die, it may be. You know, sometimes youth, young age, has that tendency to bewilder the jiva. You know, think, not going to happen to me. They don't consider it. One of my friends, this was in the first wave of COVID, got really, really, really sick, and he went to the ICU in Calcutta, and he told the nurses one night, "I don't think I'm going to live through the night." He's still recovering from that. He's still weak, but one thing that he said to me is that things that we used to just have kind of in our minds about the philosophy became much, much deeper after that whole experience. So recently, I think, let's see, about 10 days ago, the Mayapur Community Hospital offered a free ultrasound to devotees in the community. So I signed up, and I went in on the first day, and the room was jammed with all these old Prabhupada disciples wanting to see what was going on with their bodies, right? And so I had to wait a while, but when I finally got on the ultrasound table and the doctor, the radiologist, was doing his thing, he said, "Prabhu, you have a huge," and I'll leave it blank, I don't want to go into the gory details, but he was just shocked, you know, so, okay. So then, there's an old friend of mine, he's one of the most famous homeopathic doctors in the world, and he has over 100 patients a day, and he cared for one of my closest friends in his final days, my friend Nirguna Prabhu. He was my Sankirtan partner for 18 years, and he left his body in 2007 in the Mayapur Institute's first classroom, which was the ground floor of Seva building. And so he cared for him. He was famous. He actually was a professor at the National Institute of Homeopathy in Calcutta. And he was very expert at turning around terminal cancer cases. This is what my friend had. So this is why I, engaged him. And I got to be friends with him and went to him for other issues in my own body. My friend did leave his body. And it was like a miraculous departure. Oh my God, like mind-blowing. I could spend the rest of the Bhagavatam class speaking about that, and just jam-packed with transcendental miracles. And so at any rate, I went to him and I took the radiologist report. He reviewed it, asked me a few questions, and then he quoted this verse from Bhagavad-gītā 2:22. He's a devotee, he's not a ISKCON devotee, but, he's got his own deity, and he's like very learned, he's published many books in homeopathy. He quoted this verse, Bhagavad-gītā 2:22. Vashamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grunati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person, as a man discards old and useless garments and puts on new garments, similarly the soul discards old and useless bodies and takes on new bodies. He said, Janmastami, we're all going to die. Okay? So, so this is the wake-up call. Now, how many of you have taken the Bhakti Shastri course? Please raise your hands. Okay? So, like 35%, 40%. Okay, so when you are about ready to have a closed book assessment, do you accelerate your learning? Do you go like going kind of a little bit of a learning marathon so you can do well on the exam, right? That's pretty normal, correct? Those of you that didn't take Bhakti Shastri, maybe you like went to university and you got, you know, a final exam and you're like, okay, so this is life's final exam, death. And Giriraj Swami, he published a book, Life's Final Exam, Death and Dying from a Vedic Perspective. And he actually, he asked me, well actually, I went to Vrindavan in 2000, right after my friend departed. It was just before, this was in November 2007, and it was a couple days before, yeah, try and keep everybody awake here now, okay? It's tough, all the austerities that we as devotees have to do, get up really early, go to Mangal Arati, and chant 16 rounds. But stay awake on this, it's important. So, yeah, 2 days before, my friend left his body, 2 days before, a big Chopadi Yatra was to come in with like 4,000 devotees. And I was a very heart-deep relationship with Giriraj Swami. And this is before the construction began in the TLVP. And what now is the Anadan arched building, where they have the free prasadam, they had that in the construction complex of the TOVP, and it was like a big pandal. So there was like 4,000 or 5,000 devotees there, and they were spread out, not just under the arched building. And Giriraj Swami gave the first class. So I went up to him at the end of the class, and he had just had bypass surgery, so he wasn't in the best of shape. And I went up to him and asked, I told him, because I was near and dear in heart with him, because he transformed my life in 1990, when I first attended the VIHE and took Shastric study. And he taught, of course, it was called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, but it was basically all of the verses that are in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that are also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's basically a nectar devotion course. And it was, oh man, you know, I've been a devotee like, I'm sorry, it was 1989, big difference, but I'd been a devotee 12 years, and somehow or other, I was regularly reading Prabhupada's books. I was a Sankirtan devotee, so I was really strict about that. But somehow or other, it wasn't in my mind the definition of pure devotional service. Somehow I didn't get it. Super important. You know, that's the kind of the foundational verse for the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyabhilashita sunyam, jnana karmadhyanavitam, anukulyena krishnanu, shilanam bhaktirotama. So when first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and fruit of action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So, but it was like amazing, you know. I was eating once a day, getting up at 2, just studying all day, going to classes. Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave a class on Brahma Samhita. Satsvarup Maharaj gave a class on Prabhupada appreciation. Purijan gave an overview of Bhagavad-gītā, 1 month overview. It was ecstatic. I started going to Vrindavan in 81, but the Dham just revealed itself in a way that I'd never experienced before. But what was even more significant for me was when I left Vrindavan and came back to my service in America, the way I would, you know, at that time I was a national Sankirtan leader, had the agenda of getting book distribution going again in America. And the way I do that is I distribute a lot of books myself, and then that would set the standard, kind of the Vedic leadership principle. And so when I got back to America, my own Sankirtan results increased about 40%. It blew my mind. What to speak of my capacity to, you know, give classes or inspire other the Sankirtan devotees at my parties. So, a real transformational experience. So I told, this was kind of got sidetracked there, but that's how I was so close, felt so close with Giriraj Swami. So every year I'd go to Vrindavan and study, and sometimes I go twice. I go Kartika and also what they call the Gorpanim semester, which started right after our Christmas marathons. And so I went up to him and told him the story of my friend's departure. And so, like, okay, maybe I should punch myself in the nose with it. No. Tilt it towards me, okay. So I'm not completely audible, particularly for old ladies, right? Okay, how am I doing now? And I'll speak super loud too. I'll blow everybody away. All right, so anyway, I told him the story and he just was mesmerized. He'd just given an hour and a half Bhagavatam class and he listened for me tell the whole series of miracles of Nirguna's departure for about 45 minutes. So then, later I had to meet with Bhakti Brihat Bhagavat Swami. He's a sannyasi. He used to be a teacher with the MI. He was a good friend of mine. And he was going to be in Vrindavan for the opening of the hospice in Vrindavan. And so he asked me to meet him there. So I went for the opening ceremonies, and then Giriraj Swami turned around, get a big smile, and he called me over and he told me to tell the story of Nirguna's pastime. And so I went up, what's his name? Vishvarup. He's one of the administrators in the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Vrindavan, and he was emceeing the program. So I went up to him and asked him, so how much time do I have to speak, Vishvarup Prabhu? And he said, well, 5 minutes, like that. So when I got called up to speak, I just started opening my heart, going for it, and just like it was so intense because he was. Imagine, we were Sankirtan partners 18 years. I mean, and we distributed a lot of books together. And, so many trials and tribulations we went through. And, then I cared for him for the last it was about the last 3 months of his life. Yeah. So, at any rate, I felt like I really connected with the audience, and then I sat down, and I started thinking to myself, I think I spoke a little bit more than 5 minutes. So then I went up to Vishvarup, and I said, Vishvarup Prabhu, I'm sorry, but I think I spoke a little bit more than 5 minutes. And he said, Janmastami, Prabhu, you spoke for 25 minutes. And I said, oh boy, I'm really sorry. He said, no, that's okay. Yesterday was Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. They had opening ceremonies for the big donors and the VIP, the government officials. And, the day I was there was just all the other devotees. And he said, and yesterday was Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, today is Raganuga Bhakti. It's okay, no problem. So, but at any rate, and then Giriraj Swami sent me a transcription about 6 months ago, and he wanted to publish it, in his book, Life's Final Exam, Death and Dying from a Vedic Perspective. So it's something that we all have to deal with. So what to do? The whole Bhagavatam, at the end of the 19th chapter of the first canto, Mahārāja Parikshit, he's wanting to know, what am I supposed to do? What's my duty? What are my responsibilities? I've only got 7 days left. And then Sukadeva Goswami appears. He started getting some answers from the sages that had assembled for his departure. And then Sukadeva Goswami came, and that's what the Bhagavatam is all about. So it's a very, very natural thing. We got Life's Final Exam coming up. So it's not like an artificial austerity to just really focus on, hearing and chanting. which is essentially what Sukadeva Goswami facilitated Mahārāja. In my second year in the movement, I was really attached to distributing books. But the temples were going through financial challenges in those days. This was after Prabhupada left. So the temple president asked me to, actually, I won't tell this story. It's too big of a diversion. It's a funny one, though, okay? He asked me to play Santa Claus, okay? Anyway, and what I did, I actually blew my vocal cords out, so I couldn't speak. The doctor that specializes in speech. Anyway, he said, don't say anything for 2 months. I actually ruptured a blood vessel, and so that when I would try to speak, the vocal cords wouldn't close. So if it was a high-pitched tone, nothing would come out, right? So it took me like about 4 years to recover from it. I actually went through speech therapy, to learn how to speak in such a way that I don't injure my voice. Well, maybe I still got those techniques intact. Anyway, it's a little longer story than that, but So then Prabhupada says, of all the instructions of the spiritual master, the chanting of 16 rounds is the most essential. Right? Shashikant Prabhu, yes? I've been talking to him every day, and I forgot my hearing aids, and do you have yours with you? Anybody got their japa affirmations with them? Okay. I distributed over 600 of these in the last year. You can't imagine. This is japa affirmation. This is a book that was published by Mahatma Prabhu. And it's the cream of 15 years of conducting japa retreats. And it's unbelievable, the feedback I got from devotees. You know how Prabhupada describes in the famous Hare Krishna mantra address that the chanting Hare Krishna is like the genuine cry of a child for his mother. And it's not Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know, not dive bomber japa or radar japa, you know, thinking all kinds of other things. You know, this is the way you actually overcome pramada, inattention. It's from the heart. It's all about this. Like 20 affirmations, and each one takes about, depending upon whether English is your native tongue or not, but like 1 to 3 minutes, something like that. Right? Yeah. And, you know, I've seen devotees after reading it, their sikha just twirls around in ecstasy. You know, it's like amazing. So it really works. You know, but the results are that the japa is transformed, and the consciousness goes with it. Okay, so that's essential, most essential. But in order to chant good rounds, we need a lot of support. And so therefore we go to Mangalartik. We get up early. We don't eat a big meal before taking rest. So and we go to Bhagavatam class. We read Bhagavatam. We do service. All of these things contribute to our capacity to chant good rounds and to follow this most essential instruction. Tigache? Everybody know what that means? Tigache? I know you would, you know if you're from India, you know what that means. But some of the Western devotees look at me, what the heck is this guy talking about? It means, is that right? Yeah, Tigache? Okay, so so the point is, you know, there's some interesting points that are made regarding, you know, Vanaprastha. In Kali Yuga, Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends that Kali Yuga Vanaprastha, this is, Prabhupada quotes him in Madhya 1630, that Kshetra sannyasi lives in those places alone or with his family. Bhaktivinoda Thakur considers Kshetra sannyas to be preferable Vanaprastha situation in the age of Kali. So in other words, it doesn't necessarily mean that you stop speaking, like Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj did. Grow your hair down, wear torn garments. You can just more focus for the final exam, right? That's the key. You know, that's really what it's indicated by this. And kind of, actually, you know, Jai Gaur Sundar Prabhu is much more qualified to give this class than I am. He's the only one of the few devotees that have taken, really going into the Vanaprastha modality or the Kshetra sannyas modality very seriously. He's getting ready for his final exam. And he's 82, and 6 years ago you made the commitment, right? You're 82, right? Did I get that right? Okay. He's 10 years older than I am. I'm still wet behind the ears in comparison with him. So, so it's a focus. It's an intensified focus, kind of withdrawing. Like I was in these leadership positions for so many years, and it's difficult to stay really focused. You get one crisis after another coming your way, or someone's upset with you, or there's some politics coming your way, or this or that. And then with leadership comes pratishtha and puja and labha, So different anarthas kind of go with the package sometimes, And so to kind of clear the heart, intense japa, intense studying, intense preaching, taking care of younger devotees. These are part of the agenda, for someone who's about to die. Okay? But in one sense, we're all about to die. Isn't it? I mean, okay, you're probably the youngest person here. How old are you? Yeah, you. Are you younger than she is? No, she's younger than you are. How old are you? You can tell, don't worry. 25, okay. At one point, I was also 25. 25? Yeah. Got it right? Okay. So you're 25, I'm 72. You can't imagine how fast time flew from 25 to 72. Right, Mataji? She knows about it. Right, Tagore Sundar? It moves so quickly. Get ready for it. Come on, it's going to happen to you. Don't think it won't. So the point is that we can intensify, because basically that's what it means, okay? And the whole point is that Srila Prabhupada created the International Society for Krishna Consciousness for devotees to practice what? Anybody got a clue? Huh? Pure devotional service. Not just devotional service, pure devotional service. That was his whole agenda. Okay? Anyabhilashita sunyam, jnana karmadhyanavitam, anukulyena krishnanu, shilanam bhaktiruttama. And the more intensely we become absorbed in the principles of pure devotional service, the more intensely we engage in our sadhana practices, the more we please Krishna, the more rapidly we advance. So it doesn't have to be, for only old men and old ladies. Sometimes devotees say to me, Janmastami, you've always been a vanaprastha. That's what, sometimes devotees joke with me like that. So there's a little background on that, but I won't tell all the details. So that's really an agenda for each of us. You're going to die. And it won't be long. Believe me. I've been there, I'm in process. My father lived to 96. I'm actually planning to live to be 144. So, panchas urdvam vanam brajat. Okay, so half my life is gone, so I got to seriously consider, kshetra sannyas. And it's coincidental. I haven't seen my wife in 2 years, and she's arriving today when I'm giving this class, you know. So, anyway, Kshetra Sannyasa also can be with family, and then the wife is a participant in the Kshetra Sannyas. You know, to just focus, get ready for the final exam, and okay. All right. So what time is it? Okay. I don't want Padmapad to attack me when I walk out the door and beat me over the head with a club or something. So maybe we should stop now. And are there any questions or comments, or chastisements even? Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes. Give her the mic. Who's the mic man? Okay. Is it on? Make sure it's turned on. Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you for all.
Okay, speak super loud. Is it on?
Is he doing?
Is the microphone on?
Is he on?
Is it on or off?
I don't know. Anyway, my question, you just said...
Are you hearing it on the loudspeaker? Okay, all right. Okay, what you got to do, Mataji, just pretend that I'm your son and you're chastising me for being such a bad boy, and speak really loudly, okay?
Right. Okay. Just you said you have to get intensely engaged in the devotional service. Would you mind telling how to do that, for example?
Okay, first thing, get a japa affirmations. I'll give you one. I just spaced out this morning. Usually I bring about 10 with me to a Bhagavatam class, and I distribute them at the end of the class. They sell them. Okay, you want one? Okay. I live in Seva Building, Unit E, E for ecstasy. Okay? It's my old office when I started the Mayapur Institute. That's the number one thing. Get your japa together. Okay? Get your japa together. Improve your japa. Okay, that's the number one thing. Because that's the most, of all the instructions of the spiritual master, that's the most essential. Right? Shashikant, Prabhu? Okay, Shashikant's in ecstasy. Look at him. Okay. Okay, so that's number one. And then, try, we have, because of our conditioning, we may be subjected to sometimes the lower modes of material nature. Passion and ignorance. Sattva sanjayate jnanam. So in order to, that's kind of the springboard. If we look at the second chapter of the first canto, the springboard for entering deeper and deeper into bhakti is to come to the sattva gun platform. So watch what you eat, okay? Stay away from the heavy-duty, fried, spicy foods, because they'll put you to sleep and it'll damage your health. Prabhupada said in a morning walk in 1974 in Vrindavan, in a discussion with Dhananjaya Prabhu, health first, sadhana second, service third. So in order to execute your sadhana, you have to be in good health. There's one Mataji, what's her name? Dr. Du Lao. She's a acupuncturist at the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. And she told me that she's met older devotee after older devotee that didn't maintain their health properly. And as a result of that, their ability to execute Krishna consciousness is minimized. Okay? Now you're not you're not 25 anymore, so you got to really be careful, okay, to eat proper diet, get proper rest, and get proper exercise. Go for a japa walk every day, right? Shashikant, I go out and see him every day. I walk. When I hit, 10 years ago, I used to do every day the Panchakrosha Parikrama Marg. Every single day I do it. It took me 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I chant 18, 19 rounds. Really good for my health. And then when I be in Govardhan, I do half a Govardhan Parikrama. So do like that. Ganga Snan, good thing, for health. And then enroll in the Mayapur Institute Bhakti Shastri course as soon as possible. There's one that's starting on April 2nd. That will help you a lot. I'm not just saying that, as some kind of like a advertisement, but I'm just saying that it transformed my life and it transformed many devotees' lives. That's why I started it, why I started the Mayapur Institute, and why it just grew. It grew because of word-of-mouth promotions. Devotees having mind-blowing experiences and their lives being transformed. Okay? Did I do all right? Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, wait. Don't have my headphones or my hearing aids on, so nice and loud. I can tell you got a loud voice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but put it right to the mouth.
Prabhuji, I have a question that when we are preparing ourselves for the final goal,
Yeah.
so the thing is, we know that we have to focus on our aim, focus on the aim to for our death and what you were.
For what?
For our final journey, and that's what the life is all about. But I want to know, the thing is, in our daily world, like we are doing, we have a family to run. I have to do my family. I have to take care of my family also. I have to take care of my work also. Now, how to balance, because in work, there are many things you have to, you are doing it, the things are not right, you are doing few wrong things to make the way, but...
What was the last thing? What did you say? Last sentence?
That when you're working, so over there you have many day-to-day situations which come on, which that those are not right, but you have to balance and you have to find out your way to move ahead, and how to balance that act.
First thing, get a japa affirmations, okay? Use it every day before you start your japa, okay? Number one. Number two, focus on the purpose of your being, of caring for your family. What's the purpose behind it? Guru nasashat, swajano nasashat. Pita nasashat, janani nasashat. So your job is to create a situation, create an environment, create a mood whereby your family members can take up uttama bhakti. Okay? So, yeah, that's what Kali Yuga is all about. It's crazy. So many irreligious practices. I moved to Mayapur in 1997, and it's mind-blowing the changes that have taken place here in Mayapur since then. One is that when I first came here, there were very few pilgrims from India that would come around, and when they would come in, they would look at me like I was an animal in the zoo. Because they couldn't believe it. He's a Videshi. He's got a shaved head and, tilak. There's a miracle. Okay, so that's one change. Now, it's not a big deal. They just look at you. Sometimes they give you a little bit animal in the zoo look, but mostly it's, that's common now. Okay, another thing that's taken place since 1997 is all these young girls come with really tight pants and, kind of, not exactly sattvic clothing. I guess that might be the way to describe it. Kind of provocatively dressed. And that wasn't going on then, but now it is. It seems a little bit like maybe India's adopting Western culture. Could that be the case? And, and then everyone's got their dumb phone right smack dab in the front of their face all day long, you know, like sucking all their brain, sucking all their thoughts away from Krishna. So, you know, keep the damn thing turned off unless you need it, right? So, you know, focus on what is really important in life. Okay, we got, let's see, what time is it? Uh-oh, it's 9:01. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.